here I have a sweet setup that we're going to be doing here. Thought I would do a video. I've had a few people ask me, probably within the last few months or so, 3 or 4 people reach out asking me to either shadow or just do like a little more in-depth series of how I set up a bow. So I thought, since I've got a little bit of time, this is for my buddy Ryan Alspatch at Warrior Fuel, but we're going to be setting this bow up for him, RX-8 Ultra. I've already got one, and I have had super good luck with it, with tuning, numbers, speed, out of heavy arrows, out of light arrows, but thought I'd do a little more in-depth kind of tech build and give you guys as many little nuggets as I've been able to learn over the last few years. But yeah, just to kind of start it, I guess I'll probably work on this tomorrow when I got a little more time. It's pretty late here right now. I was helping a buddy move this weekend, but I'll go over just what we got parts wise, and then in the morning we'll probably just go step by step. I'll move the camera around a little bit. It might be a little cut and dry. I'll try to make it as detailed but not overly detailed. Make sure the video's consumable without being too boring or anything as well. But I'll go over that stuff right now. So Ryan was able to get some freaking awesome arrows. I'm actually really excited to kind of build these up for him. They're already, I guess technically they're already kind of pre-built, at least cut and inserted and everything. I'm just going to do the vanes and some final tuning on the bow. But we've got some Easton X10 Parallel Pros. Super excited actually on these. I've heard super good things from guys that I would really consider to be kind of at the top of the game when it comes to archery tech, archery gear, tuning. They've touted this to be probably the best arrow that Easton's put out in recent times now, including their insert-outsert system. That's kind of more or less what I'm most excited about, to be able to break in or bust into that, just to see what it's all about. It feels stout as all get out, stout as hell, so super excited for that. Build those up, tune those. I've already got one, an arrow fletched and everything to be able to get started on tuning, and then I can work on those when I've got some little more downtime, I guess. I really just like to take my time when it comes to doing anything, but especially arrows. Nothing pisses people off than spending whatever these cost, and then a really obscene amount of money for some arrows. But nothing pisses someone off more than getting some arrows, fletched, whatever, cut, built, whatever, going 5 arrows into a target, and all of a sudden half your vanes are freaking falling off. You know what I mean? It's expensive to build arrows, but also to get them done the right way, I guess. But anyway, Go Sticks 2.0, adjustable bow stand here, basically almost like an adjustable bipod there. I'll go over a little bit of the tech that I really like on this versus the last set that they've come out with. Pro Series stabilizers, 8-inch 5-ounce bar, 10-inch 5.1-ounce bar, I guess. These are, I always just weight these way more. The weights that come with them are, to put it in simple terms. So I'm actually probably going to recommend going a little bit heavier. I go a little heavier on mine during 3D season. I'll probably lighten it up a little bit when it comes to hunting season. Just going to be packing around everywhere. But yeah, you get a little more hold, a lot better hold in my opinion actually. We'll probably run one off the bottom here with the Go Sticks, probably the smaller bar, and we'll run a little bit longer bar off the back to kind of keep things a little more centrical, if that's even a word. I don't even know if it's a word. Sounds cool though, sounds good. So, next part, Tetra Max Rise, green and red pin, looks like 19 thou on here. Be perfect for kind of that dark timber setup. Running a little bit bigger pin sizing is better when it comes to stuff like that. If you're hunting dark timber, hunting bulls or elk, especially when they kind of try to stay timbered up, you can see it gathers a little more light just because it is a little bit bigger. I've seen that some sites, like UltraView, for some reason you have, for me, you almost always have to run that sight light if you're going to be in some darker timber early in the morning or right before last light or last legal shooting light here in Utah. So I always have to have that thing on when it comes down to that last kind of push trying to get in on an elk or a deer. But these have been, I mean, I don't know if you can even see that from there, but you probably can see it from there just because of how freaking bright these things are through the plastic with the shade on. So this will be a hell of a setup for this. The cool thing is this is the inline, I guess, what would you call it? Inline? I don't know what to call it. Hoyt, I guess. It says HYT, but the Hoyt Rise Max, Tetra Rise, Max Rise, whatever you want to call it, I guess. It's got freaking 5 different names that you can order and nobody's going to notice the difference. But run that on here on the front of that bow. And last but not least, we're going to go with an Ultra S integrated MX2. This is going to have the updated launcher arm, I guess the dampeners, I think is what they call it on here. They're going to be able to be installed on the sides. You still have to run a felt on the middle, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of having rubber on it, if you ask me. I don't know why you wouldn't just include that, other than it, you know what, I just barely thought of that. You wouldn't want to put rubber on the bottom because it's going to grab on the way back, but also grab on the way forward before it fully drops away. So the felt is a more, like, a better option. So, just came to me. But yeah, you still have to run felt right there on the middle of that. But you have the rubber sides to be able to, when you're moving, crawling through stuff, that arrow's moving left and right a little bit if you don't have your finger on top of it, on the front of your bow. Yeah, that's also the inline system. Cool thing is it's got that dovetail to be able to mount straight to the back of this. So that's the other cool thing about this RX-8 is it comes freaking ready to be integrated. So and then I will go over, honestly, there's so many videos about the sight tapes on how to use these. I'm just going to show you what I do to get a custom tape that's longer than the average tape. And that's going to include using this Garmin and going outside and just shooting it. There's no better way to set up a sight tape than to go and just shoot your numbers in, which is basically what I do. But I start with doing a lot of the intricacies of the math and the measurements and stuff that you got to take beforehand. At least hit your base numbers and then go shoot stuff in, and then you can fill in the rest with just being able to shoot it in, basically. But yeah, excited to kind of go over this build. Should be pretty fun. Yeah, I'm actually way excited to shoot this. Like I said, I've already got mine set up. Got mine last week. But this one's a 60 to 70, and I kind of wish I went with a 60 to 70. That 80 is a little bit much for my chicken wings here. But I only really got it for 80 because I might crank it up just a little bit right before hunting season, or I may leave it at 80 a month or two before the season, then crank it back down to like 74, 73-ish or so. Especially with the data that I've been able to kind of culminate from some other people. Like one podcast, Jeremy Duggar was a guest on Backcountry Podcast. Oh shiz, Dustin's gonna kill me now because I didn't get the freaking name right, but because it's supposed to be technically the Huntian, so change the freaking name already, dude, so I don't get screwed up like that. Freaking White Monster King. But yeah, super excited to put this thing together. I guess the last thing is going to be that super light stretch carbon quiver right there. So that'll be super clean on this outside of this because it's one, it's the inline setup, but two, you have the integrated everything else with the sight and the drop away. So this side is going to be clean and clear. So I'm excited for that. So this thing's going to be freaking hot butter. So, but yeah, if you've made it this far, appreciate it. Go ahead and like it, share it, subscribe, dude. But, okay, appreciate it. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Boy. Hey guys, it's Tyler with TC Customs here. Back next morning, like I said I would be. It is almost 9 o'clock here. Freaking had a long night with the newborn, but we're back. We're gonna set up this RX-8 for my buddy Ryan. This morning, before I started, I thought I'd do a little build list of like steps to be able to set up a bow correctly, or what you should at least do perfectly every single time to be able to set that bow up the right way the first time. So I printed off a little list. I'll go over with you real quick, and I'll put a screenshot of what I have on there on this paper. So how to build a bow / tune a bow 101. It's going to be set rest center. So you're going to set that rest center on the riser here, or the bracket, I guess. That way you have a little bit of adjustment up or down, so when you get to paper tuning and stuff, you're able to set that to be able to be center, but also have a little bit to play with in case you have some weird timing issue or something. Obviously we'll try and adjust that or fix that first, but second is going to be level the bow, then the arrow rest itself, to be able to, level the arrow on the rest. So level the bow, no cant or lean or anything, both front, back, side to side, to be able to get it timed, or get the rest dialed in with that. Then we're going to set knock ties once we center that rest and arrow on here. Next, we're just going to install all the components, the stabilizers, quiver, sight, all the extra stuff. That'll come into play a little bit later, but that way we've got some weight to it. So when we start shooting it through paper and stuff, it's not going to change any torque or anything. We're going to check the sight axes, or axes, I guess, is that the word? Axes. We've got that Tetra-Rise, super simple setup to be able to check the axis on there. And then we're going to check timing and cam lean. It's not going to have a ton of cam lean. This HBX exact cam is freaking rock solid. I didn't have any issues. I was a little bit out of timing, but I'll go over that as well. And then we're going to paper tune and bare shaft at 15 feet through some paper. So that just gives you the micro adjustability to be able to see what you can't see with a fletched arrow through paper. I like shooting bare shaft after kind of getting that original, what it looks like bullet hole, and then going to a bare shaft at 15 feet. You really see that tiny micro 1 or 2 clicks left, right, up, down, whatever adjustment come into play, and you start to get just really forgiving arrow flight out of your veined or fletched arrows after that. And then we are going to dial the sight into 20, get her hitting, just stacking holes. And then we're gonna go to 60, get the 60 dialed in. There's already a lot of videos on how to set this, like I said yesterday, with the preset dial and stuff on there already. So I'm just gonna go 20, 60, build the tape, run it back to 80 to 100, and check the tape again and double check, and we'll make that micro adjustment after that. But it's really good to have three measurements on there, just because there's a lot of components, spine, the way the vane reacts to the wind and everything else that come into play that aren't really talked about when you start to build the tape. But then we'll go over all the measurements and everything else at full draw, peep to arrow, peep to arrow, peep to sight, cut length, everything, arrow weight. I have a video on that already, but feel free to go jump over to the other video after this and check it out and let me know what you think. But yeah, I've got a video on that and a couple other things that are probably pretty beneficial, especially for the stuff that a lot of the DIY guys are starting to get into now. I've got a few buddies that are starting to want to build sight tapes, build their own arrows and everything else. So I thought I'd do a little video series on some of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and be quick about this and just hurry and install this stuff. And then from there, I'll go step by step into these little notes we've got here, and then get going. Appreciate you guys following along. Thanks. So I'm just gonna do a little zoomed in video to this spot right here. I'm gonna get this stuff installed. It's still loose, but not really much to say, so just go ahead and watch if you want to. If not, skip ahead about a minute or two probably. Nice and smooth right there. Pretty freaking sweet, so. Okay, so I paused the video before I started putting this stuff on, just so I could show you kind of, because they've got a little bit of these little marks on here. I'm gonna show you where to kind of go for being about in the middle on here. It's already got a pre-tap or a pre-cut line. But the other thing too that I haven't seen any videos or any information on, even on Hoyt's website, but Hoyt actually has a sweet 2-piece quiver, or I guess that in this case it's a single piece quiver. But what's awesome is right here, you can actually flip this bracket right here, flip it back and run it inside, or keep it the way it is. And on the inside, if you don't want this extra piece on here, then you can actually run your Allen wrench in there and this part pops and breaks off. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that done real quick. I'll try and switch the camera angle a little bit and kind of show you what I'm talking about, but kind of a sweet little design to be able to help you run this either further out if you like a little more weight on this side, or run it literally straight up against that riser if you wanted to. So kind of a sweet design, but. Okay, so the next thing on here is gonna be to level the rest. Cool thing about both Hoyt and I believe Matthews is they're gonna have a pre-slashed, I guess, piece of aluminum right here. I don't know what you'd call it, but right here, as you see in the video, there's a 0 right here where this clamp is. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this cap off right here, and then underneath we're gonna be able to loosen the clamp right there. And then we'll just level it up in the middle, which is going to give us adjustment up and down after we figure out the level on this side of the string. Okay, so we pulled the cap off here on the side, as you can see. And now we loosened this other tiny screw on the inside of here as well to be able to clamp it onto the back. So now we'll line these up. Might need to go a little bit more here. Or slide them up. There we go. So sliding it up from the bottom, it's a little more open than it is up here at the top. So sliding it up from the bottom helps a lot. So there we go. Go right there. 0 and 0. Now we'll tighten it up. So now, as you can see on the inside here, that is going to give us adjustment down or up right there. So, and then now we can put the cap back on. Let's just take this off for now. Back to 0. I messed it up while I was showing you adjustment levels there. So we'll leave it at 0 for now. Okay, so now coming into play is going to be the tuning level kit is what this one is. I got this one on Amazon. Obviously it's made in China there, but works pretty good. One thing to remember on this is going to be to put the one level on the string and not the serving. So right here, we're gonna run this level square, left and right, front, back right here. Get it square or a little bit back. So we're gonna loosen that clamp up, find both of these. So that's level there. See, that's level left and right as well. So now what we're going to do with the rest up, or what it would be at full draw, we're going to grab this arrow and throw it through the rest here, clip it to the D-loop, or not the D-loop, but the serving here, and then we're going to put this level on the arrow right here to check our elevation in line to make a perfect T. So we want this to be square on the string, and then we're going to want that arrow to be able to be coming off the string perfectly square. So as it comes to a stop, that's what the importance of running this string stop is, as well as it helps get that arrow coming off the string square. Right here, obviously it's a little bit loose, so what we're going to do is grab a long piece of D-loop, just a little bit longer than what we would need. Let's see. And in order to hold it, I'm just going to put just a half bump right here. Oops. That way you can move it up and down or whatever you need to get it to hold. So you can at least install a knock tie. So I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if we can zoom that up. So right here on the right side of the screen, it's zoomed into that spot right there. It's just a D-loop knot basically, so we're just gonna do that. Find it to where it's level. Tighten this up a little bit so it doesn't slide. There we go. So now, right there. That's perfectly middle right there. I don't know if you can see that. This one's middle as well. So now I'm just going to grab a silver Sharpie. I'm going to mark the bottom one where we can put that string to. So now when I move this out of the way, line it back up, put that there. So now on there, you've got two little marks of where your knock sets can go. So top knock set, bottom knock set. And then what we'll do is we'll tie that D-loop around that and then get the next step rolling. So. Okay, so now that we got the tie here on here, we're just gonna leave it there because it's gonna be level right here. Because if we were to take that off, this thing was gonna slide a little bit anyway. So put it in the press, do the bottom knock tie first. I like running 2 knock ties, that way you don't have any extra torque whatsoever. Especially if you tie your D-loop on the way you're supposed to, a little bit soft, a little bit softer than you probably would think. That way you're not creating serving separation inside of here when people crank on it and just wrench on that thing a ton. Here we go, we'll zoom in on this a little bit now. We're up. So right there. So it creates a lot of serving separation, which is going to move this knock up or down if you crank on this. So having knock ties, what it does is it relieves that pressure, especially when you're able to put the knock ties and give it a little bit of room and cinch it down into the serving on the first couple rounds. Wrapping it around, cinching it down in there, then tying a knot. What it does is it anchors it in those 2 points onto the string through the serving, so you don't get any serving separation going up or down. So I'll hurry and do that real quick, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, there you go. There is knock ties. I'll now get that put on there and slid down. So now I'll show you a little bit of play right here. Because when that thing's gonna come to full draw, these are gonna pinch. But you see how loose this string is? You're literally just gonna grab it, pull it with your finger. You can use some pliers or something as well, but then right here, slide that up. Don't want it to actually flame. This thing is freaking going way crazy. Zoom back out a little. There we go. So right there. Get it to bulb. But as you can see on those knock ties, a little bit of play, centered up. Now this should be good enough right there. Over, through, back around to the opposite. Right there. Looks a little bit long, so we're gonna cut that back. We're gonna pull it back through. Mushroom the insides out. This creates a good bulb so it doesn't pull back through the D-loop there. So. go. Now, should be good enough for a minute. You want it to at least cool down enough to be hard to, so you don't form it to the actual D-loop part, but give her a little pull right there. You can move that over. And then you can use your wrenches, you can use pliers. So now all you'll do right here, tiny little bit, and then just a little hand tight is all. So just like that. That way also, once we get the peep installed up here, here in a few minutes, that way you can twist that D-loop around to get it to line up with the peep. But yep, there you go. So now we'll reinstall or install a peep here. We're gonna go about 5.75 inches here, at least to get us started, and then I'll take some other measurements and stuff. Just because I actually have had his bows previously in a shorter axle to axle, so I know that measurement's going to be a little bit different, but not much. But me and him also shoot the same draw length as well, so we're going to kind of base it a little bit off of that as well. But it also looks like we're going to need to put a little bit of a twist. As you can see here, it's a little bit crooked. So we're gonna add some twists actually while we're at it, just to get that to line up. Actually, you know what? Never mind. We're gonna shoot it a little bit first. We're gonna shoot it, try and get it to settle a little bit. We'll just add a twist with our hands. But that's one of the reasons right here, like I said, why we leave this loose, is say this did line up, but this didn't. Rather than being cinched inside of that serving right here, we want that to be loose enough to move, but not loose enough to come up or down on here, especially after you shoot it. So now it's a little bit of a roll here is all, but it's exactly what we want. So now that's installed, we're gonna go ahead and install this to the bottom of the serving here, or through the string at the bottom of the clear serving. Actually, you know what? I think this actually comes with the clamp, so we may just install it with the clamp. It's a little bit easier to tune and get to time correctly. So we'll open this up and install that on here below that. Okay, so one little hack that I've learned that I'll share with you as well is when you do use these clamps, don't crank it down like crazy. But crank it down enough to where it's kind of a struggle for you to pull that like that. So when you time this, rather than not knowing how to time it or whatever else, what you do is you'll draw it back while it's under tension. And I can show you, I'll do that here in just a second, but you'll draw it, let it down, and then this will time itself. But what you're gonna do is when it say that this is where it was timed, if we zoom in right here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna give it, so let's say that's time, you're gonna go like this, just ever so slightly, just enough to get it a little bit past that. That way it's gonna initiate that arm right here to completely up as you get to full draw. That way, and then after you do get that time, you're gonna crank that down a little bit, obviously not too much because it's freaking plastic. Not a big fan of these rests, to be honest with you, but it's what we're working with. So I've just had more of these QADs I've had to send back after a little while than I have any of the Hamskis whatsoever. I've never ever had to send a Hamski back in, but yeah, so here we go. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw this bad chicken up here on the vise, and we are gonna install and check axes on this site. So with this setup, should be close. We'll check with the levels again. So we're gonna use these levels again. We're gonna install string, and then we're gonna go and grab another level, 3rd axis level from Hamsky. Get that installed on the riser as well. Let's see, there we go. So, and then what we're gonna do is we're probably gonna run this in the middle. Excuse me. We're gonna run this in the middle for the same reason we run this rest in the middle. On this 1, 2, 3 settings right there on this Picatinny mount. Run it in the middle, and then we'll adjust it and check what we need to from there. If we need to get it to where it's aesthetically pleasing, to where this is flat with the bottom. Ooh-wee. Flat with the bottom, that way it doesn't look goofy like your 20s like this. I'm more of an aesthetic person. If it looks good, it probably is set up good, you know, obviously. So, but we're gonna run this to the middle setting, give her a little cranky crank here. And don't overdo these, especially if you are gonna make some adjustments. So just get it a little bit hand tight there. And then we'll adjust this over to the middle. It's got these preset settings almost right there. So we'll set that there. And I think we're pretty good right there. So now we're just gonna be able to set these axes, and then check it from there. So we'll I'll go grab the levels, and we'll check 1st, 2nd, and 3rd axis. So sorry, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. That's what it is. I gotta say that out loud, or I'm gonna have that. That's the only way I can freaking remember it. But yeah, I'll go grab all those levels, and we'll make a quick speed through here to the next step. So, because after that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna check timing and everything. So we've got the bow press out now, obviously. Put it in here, draw it back, check timing. And that way we'll also, once we get timing set, then we'll be able to time this drop away rest, because we can't really do it before, just in case we tighten or put some twists in or some twists out on one of these cables, because then you could actually change your timing on your drop of the drop away rest as well. So we'll go ahead and speed through that, and we'll on to the next one. Okay, so got it flipped and checked. So right here, as you can see, we're bubble right on that level. Oops. We are bubble, there we go. Sorry, bubble right, touch. Bubble left touch, which right because we're on the back of the bow. And now we are also bubble right touch on here. It was actually buried to this side earlier. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna crank that down for that first setup, and then we'll do a quick rundown on the 3rd axis as well. Okay, so one thing I just realized as well is this HHA, the bracket is not letting me go far enough right to line that up to where the tune is perfectly centered right here through the center of the riser, paper tune wise and everything. So I'm actually gonna have to pull this bracket off, flip these two portions right here to move that over to give us room for micro adjust. But keep that in mind if you're using that on an inline or like the Picatinny mount sights, because it's not lining up or letting me have enough movement right there. So I'm gonna have to flip this over to this side and this bracket onto that side too. So. Okay, so there we go. Got it flipped. As you can see, this screw right here undid that one, and the bottom one pulled it off, and then just flipped this mounting screw and the third axis screw around. I gotta recheck that third axis now is all. But other than that, it's flipped and we should be good to go right here on adjustment left and right. Okay, so now we're plumbed and set up on that third, second, and first axis on this. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna check timing. So we'll throw it in here, get it in the draw board here. We'll check timing. It felt like it was a little bit slow on the top cam, but figure it out. Yep, a little bit slow on the top, looks like. So I'll pull this off and give you a show here. So right here, top, bottom, just barely touching, which is perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and put it in the press, take some twists in and out here and get that thing timed up. Okay, so now we're gonna check timing one more time. Put some twists in the bottom cam to be able to speed the top one up. On this bow at least, that's how you do it. So there we go. So now, bottom is lightly touching. Top is also lightly touching. Good to go on timing. Also, I'm gonna enter this earlier in the video, but one thing I forgot to say is always when you are, right before you start timing it, make sure your limb bolts are bottomed out and then about just a single bump back to the left, so you're not cranking carbon on carbon in that pocket. In the pocket, you're not cranking aluminum on carbon, so you're not getting a bunch of fracturing limbs. Apparently that's been a common issue with some of these in the last little while, but make sure you tighten down before you start your timing, because that can actually change your timing quite a bit. But tighten down and then bump it just back a little bit off. Okay, so now I just did the third axis, so gotta pull that off, but we just finished up getting it retimed and stuff, so now we're gonna go ahead and bear shaft this boy 15 feet, like I said. Just get you to be able to micro tune that tune, so that way you get a lot more forgiveness, whether you got crosswind or angles that you're not used to, all kinds of different things that it helps with when you micro tune a bear shaft. So we're gonna go ahead and take a few shots and we'll get it all set up. Okay, so everybody has videos on paper tuning, so we're not going to go over anything on paper tuning really, but just got the bear shaft tuned through the paper, if you want to call it that, done. She's freaking ripping. Here is a 20-yard bear shaft versus fletched arrow. So can't get much better than that. And Rusty's bringing us his ball. He's gonna be the channel's mascot. Huh, Rusty? You want your ball, bud? You want your ball, bud? Come here, sit, stay. Rusty. So anyway, can't get much better than that. Freaking lined up. So Ryan's gonna be freaking smoking some deer and elk this year with this. Okay, so we got our 20 dialed in. We've got a setup tape here on this HHA. These are pretty self-explanatory. They come with a scales, like a bunch of scales of tapes, I guess, different speeds and whatever. So usually I would actually just start with this. So I'll do what this thing says. So I have this moved and dialed into 20 yards at 0. So now you would go and do whatever they say, either 40 or 60 or whatever, find whatever number you stop on. That coordinates with your sight tape, and then I usually put that one on, and then I actually will run back past that longer yardage stuff and get out to like 100, 120, and then build a custom tape from that. That way we can get the maximum amount of yardage without trying to kind of guess on everything. So shooting it in is obviously the best way to go. But honestly, that's pretty much it. This bow, I got to tie the peep in now is all. But this bow is complete, dude. So super excited for this bow to get out in the field, get out chasing some critters for Ryan. So thanks for letting me work on it, dude. Appreciate it, and we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks again, guys, if you were able to watch this video. Really appreciate you guys following along. If you have any questions, definitely leave them down in the comment section. I try to get to them at least once every couple days or once a week or so. But like I said, appreciate it. If you guys got any recommendations or suggestions too, I'm not closed to listening and hearing what you guys have to say. So anybody that watches it have any recommendations on what I could do better or whatever. But like I said, those few things, as long as you get it done correctly, or do them correctly, those steps, then you should have that perfect build. And from that, we know the machine is set up correctly. Now we just work on the stuff between the ears here. So once again, thank you guys, but we'll talk to you later. Thanks.